Well, here it is Tuesday at, I'd say dark 30, but really it's only 10 minutes before 7. I have a 8 o'clock coffee with buddies. I'll leave here about quarter to 8 or so, which gives me roughly 55 minutes to mess around with this pretty little green bike, which I'm going to do. Let's see if I can get the head off in less than an hour. I had a couple good suggestions. Somebody said that looked like some of these bolts were loose. They don't appear to be. I put a wrench on them. And another suggestion was that maybe this gap here is sucking air. I put a feeler gauge on it, and it feels sealed. So that's it doesn't go through. There's an O-ring in there, and these are all tight. So I'm going to try to pull this head off, and let's take a look at the pistons before I go to coffee. Look at the valves, really. That's the objective. So exhaust system comes off, carburetor comes off. I'll lift it, take the spark coils and horn off also, just for convenience, and let's see how quickly it goes. Well, let's see. It's 20 after 7. I've got the exhaust pipes off, the whole system off. The rocker caps were off before. Coils are off. Horn is off. Head steadies are off. And getting ready to take the carb off. And here's the bits and pieces over here, all laid out nicely. And the exhaust system is hanging over there on the far wall. Right there. So, with all the stuff from the other bikes that I'm working on, Fred and the black 850 and the gold bike or brown bike or gold bike is complete. Believe it or not, these are boxes from all the stuff I'm buying to equip my new to me RV. I sold the big one. Bought my big Class A. I sold that and bought myself a little Class B. And now I'm re-equipping it, because when I sell an RV, I sell it fully functional with everything it needs, and then I get to go out and spend, so far, $1,000 on just buying stuff for the new RV. So it's fun, but it's a place to spend money. I'll show you the RV right now. It's at the body shop. The rear bumper was cracked by the previous owner. And when I get it back, I'll show you the RV. Well, I didn't make it because I got to go inside and wash my hands and get the smell of grease and gasoline off them. Just about ready to lift the head. Everything's up out of the way, with the exception of the oil lines going to the rockers. I'll take those off, and at that point in time I can take the rockers off, and then I can lift the head up. So yeah, that's where we are. I didn't make I thought I could do it in less than an hour. Apparently I can't. So here it is, 20 to 8. I have to be at Steve's house at 8. It's a 15-minute drive. I got to take 5 minutes to get the smelled gasoline off my hands. So that's where we are. Well, it's 10 minutes to 10, and let's see if I can do a little zoom in action there. There we go. And I'm going to disconnect the rocker oil lines and take the rockers off of the engine, so I'll be ready to lift the head off. I won't bore you with watching it because that's pretty mundane. So I'll go do it. I'll be back. All right, I'm getting ready to lift the rocker boxes off. I'll show you a couple of interesting things. Let's do if we can do this. First of all, let's see. Can we see this? Where am I? Oh, there we go. It's fun trying to see stuff like that. This is a Whitworth socket that I had a another socket welded onto it to give it a super deep socket for removing these center head bolts. It'll actually fit down over the head bolt and let me take it out with a ratchet. So that's nice. The second thing, so it's just a nice tool. The second thing is when you're taking these out on this side, it helps to have the boxes completely free. So you can tilt it away from tilt it away from, he said with a grin, tilting it away from the frame so that this will clear right here without scratching the frame. You can loosen the box and get just enough clearance pliers to go past the frame without scarring it right here if you have the box loose. At this point in time, the boxes are loose. I put the pistons at top dead center, which takes all the pressure off of the rockers. Learned that lesson the other day when I took the head off of Norton. So right now I'm going to lift these boxes off and then continue taking the head off. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, there goes the washer. Nothing holding it on, just obstinance. There we go. All right, that one's off. Now let's see if we can get this one off. Yeah, get another washer hung up here. There's a little star washer hung up on this center bolt in the front. I don't like star washers. They're good for electrical use, but I don't like them for mechanical use. So let's get that out of there. Now let's see if we can get this rocker box off. Okay, both rocker boxes are off. Push rods out. Gaskets are pretty gnarly. Let me show you this. Gaskets coming out pretty well gnarled up. So if there was an oil leak that I didn't see, this might be from whence it came. Now with the rockers out of the way, we can finish getting out this center bolt, which for some reason is being obstinate. Wow, it really is. Okay, finally. And at this point, theoretically, we should have complete freedom. And the head is off. Push rod tubes are off. Let me bring the camera over and I'll show you what the inside looks like at this point. Good patina. I mean, it's not really crusty built up. It's even on both sides. Nothing wrong that I can see there. Let's crank the engine over and look inside the cylinders. Let me get some light. Well, we have the head over here. Let's take a look at it. Once again, even carbon. Got some miles on it, you can see that. Interesting. So, I mean, it doesn't look bad. We'll pop the valves out of there in just a few minutes and take a look at it. These are kind of gnarled up. Take a look in there. This would be a good suspect if you have an oil leak. This white. Ooh, that's pretty bad. And that's not uncommon. Let's take a look at the other one. Let's turn this around. It's pretty mangled too, but it looks like it was probably holding just fine. These early heads, just a flat face on a white rubber. The later heads had better tubes, but you can't just change out the tubes because they have to be machined to fit. So you have to just put it together really, really carefully. When you put it together, this was probably, well, I'm not going to say what it probably was. Probably damaged during installation. You got to be really, really careful with these older ones. So let's see. Yeah, I was going to get a flashlight and look inside the cylinder. Let's do that. I truly don't see any real ugly wear inside this cylinder. This brings us up to the question of, gee willikers, should I take this apart? You can see here, you can actually still see the original, I've forgotten the word, roughing up of the cylinder. You can actually see the scoring from the tool for scoring the inside. More on that side than on this side. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If you take it apart, you have to have it rehoned. Can you have it rehoned to fit these pistons? If you have it rehoned and have to go oversize, is it worth changing out the pistons at this point in time? Is the whole problem up in the head? Inquiring minds want to know. So I'm going to take these valves out and see how bad they look before I make a decision. Actually, I might defer the decision to the client, saying, do you want us, since we've gone this far, should we, might as well, those 3 words that get us in so much trouble, might as well undo the 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts holding this on and just lift this off to look at the pistons. You know, it's another 5 minutes to take it off, but then you get into the situation where you may be boring and fitting new pistons. And on the other hand, these pistons might be just fine. All that smoke could be from the valves. It's one of those might as well decisions, and I might defer that. My own personal feeling is I'm very ambivalent. These cylinders look good, and if the valves show a problem, I'll say no, leave it alone. If the valves are questionable, then I'll say let's take it off. That's where we are. Right now I'm going to go over here with a X-Acto knife and pull these seals out of the bottom. These fit in a little metal holder, which is, you know, better than the top. So, and they look pretty good. So I would not suspect them leaking at the bottom. See, this just fits right here on top of it. That's all it does, is just sit on top of it. Not a great design, but on the other hand, does not appear to have been leaking. If there was a leak, it was coming from the top, where these were. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, I'm going to take these valves out now. Take a look at the seats and the valve seals and everything else. Just thought I'd show you something. Remember, the right-hand side of the bike was smoking, the left-hand side wasn't. Let's take a look. Let me show you inside these exhaust ports. This is the left-hand side, and it's a nice gray ash color. Do a little zoom in here. And it's very nice. Sort of a dry carbon all the way down to the face of the valve. All right, over here, not so much. Look at the oil on the back of that valve. Look at the whole exhaust tract. That's where the smoke's coming from, right there. So let's get these valves out of here and take a look. Let's see, by the way, while we're here, if we can see anything in the backside on the intake. There's your intake guide, valve guide, and that's nice. And over here, that's nice. Nothing overtly wrong anyway. So, all right, time to yank some valves. Now, I've done videos before of taking valves out of heads, so I'm going to show you doing one and then tell you that, well, the other three are just about the same, so there's no sense in boring you with the whole process. But let's see how smoothly this goes doing this Triumph head, which is a whole lot easier than the Norton heads, just so much more accessible. So let's take a valve out and let you watch the process. Let's start at the beginning with the one that was blowing oil. Right in the center there. Crank it down. And it pops free. And you use your little magnet and maybe a little pusher to break the keeper free. There's one keeper. And what I'm going to do over here, I'll show you this in a minute, but I'm going to set up a little all right, actually got one more to come out of here. Just that fast, I misplaced it. Okay, there's the one I just took out. Put it there right under Rex, right exhaust. Got the second keeper. Now we can take this off. Can you still see over here where I'm working? Yes, sorta. Let's go down there. Do a little zooming. Double springs, the keeper on top. And this bike has the valve spring seat. It's right here. A little grungy. well seated. Usually they just pop right off. Okay, there we go. That's the valve spring seat, and here's the valve. And the valve guide, that could be bad. Letting oil get in there. And the valve itself. Let's see, do we see anything overtly bad? Since this is the valve I suspect the most, I'm going to go clean it. I'll be right back. Well, here's the exhaust valve. And, I mean, it's got use. It's got a little bit of wear on the face, but there's no burning, pitting, big chunks coming out of it. And looking in here, I've just wiped off this valve seat. Just hold this up like this. Once again, with a cursory look, I don't see any real damage to it. So what I'll do after I get all these valves out, I will do a little hand lapping on these valves just to see if I can see any overt wear. And then after that, I'll have the machinist take a look at it and decide if it needs guides or valves or whatever. And that's where we are right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of the valves out. And I won't make you watch that, but I'll be back when I get them all out. Well, let's talk about this head and the valves and what I'm curious about, and some things that will require me to do some additional research. Intake valves, I see no overt damage to them when I clean them up. A little bit of different color there, even though it's been cleaned. Put them back in here. Can you see can you hear that? That seems like a lot of play to me. Once again, cleaned up, not bad. On the intakes. On the exhaust, same situation. To me, can you see that? To me, that's a lot of play. The valves themselves, pretty darn good condition. All right, now, same thing over here. Can you see that? I know it might be exaggerated by my fingers, but that seems like a lot of play. But this is the side that's not smoking. This is the side that is smoking. And they all have the same amount of play. Okay, one other thing, this early model apparently doesn't have oil seals on the intake valves. I'm going to do some parts book research and find out if there's supposed to be oil seals there. And if not, can I put oil seals there by going to later model valve guides? I'm going to say that this bike should have fresh valve guides and maybe keep these valves. I'll have the machinist make that decision. But I'm going to buy 4 new valve guides, and I'm going to buy later models that will accept a valve oil seal on the intakes. Maybe that'll solve a problem. So this is right intake, right exhaust, left exhaust. talk about the faces in here. Let's see if I can illustrate this for you. Let's zoom. Hello, zoom. Okay, take a look at this seat, valve seat. It's looks to be in pretty good condition, but this is the right side, and maybe right there. That could be a problem right there. Over here, take a look at this. This is intake. I'm sorry, this is intake. All right, so, well, right intake. I don't know. Left intake. You can see the size of the face of the seat. This side is significantly larger. The seat on this side is larger than the seat on this side. And correspondingly, I'll get down here to the exhaust. See all the oil in there versus the dryness in here? And this seat looks terrible. I'm sorry. It does. But then they both look terrible. So it's machinist time. I need some answers from a machinist. That's where we are. I'm going to take this head to the vapor blaster to get it cleaned, and then I'll take it to the machinist to be analyzed. In the meantime, I will find out if they make valve guides that use oil seals for the intake. I don't think it can hurt anything, that's for ding dong sure, to seal these intakes. And that's where we are. Unresolved questions. I don't know if any of you have ever had a machinist sleeve the valve guides. I have on a lot of different bikes, and they worked out just fine. You bore them out and sleeve them with a insert. I've never had a problem with that. I'm sure that there's a lot of they say about it. You know, they say bad idea. They say it would kill your bike. They say all kinds of bad things would happen. I have never seen them. I don't even know if they use sleeves anymore, but in the olden days, and I've only been doing this 20 years, you know, as a business, that's an option. But you still need guides on the intake that will accept the oil seal. So once again, I'm going to need a professional opinion on this from a machinist who does this for a living, of which I have one. He's an aircraft machinist shop. He rebuilds aircraft engines, and he does my machining for me, basically because he likes old bikes, and he's willing to do these small jobs, which is, you know, wonderful. He'll do a $300 or $400 job for me, while he's got a $10,000 job sitting on the bench. That's a pretty nice guy, and you're getting aircraft quality work. So I'll get his opinion on this, and I will take his opinion, and I will get back to you with the decisions that are being made on this bike. But right now the bike is apart, and it is waiting on machinist evaluation. All right, getting these parts ready to be vapor blasted, and I'm going to take all the studs out, and then I'll take the valve rockers out. I just washed all these with soap and water. Not a problem here in Arizona. We have so little, so little humidity that things dry immediately. There's a saying in Arizona that I made up that the hardest part about cleaning a motorcycle in Arizona is keeping it wet long enough to dry it. When I was renting motorcycles, we found out that the best thing to do is wash the front half and then wash the back half, because there's no way you could wash the whole bike and keep it wet long enough to dry it. So yes, I washed these with soap and water in my kitchen sink, and then I rinsed them in really hot water, and they're dry as a bone right now. And I'm going to take them apart anyway, so any residual water that might be inside the shafts is going to get dried out real quick. And that's just the way it is here in Arizona, which I sometimes refer to it as arid zona. That's not where it got its name, though. So anyway, let's clean all this off. Let's see, you still watching this? Still being able to see this? Okay, good. I will wire wheel all of these before I put them back in. All of this stuff will get wire wheeled before I put it back on. All right, now I'll just pull these rocker shafts out. All right, my good buddy Richard, who lives across the street and is a really good mechanic, just showed me something on this engine that I frankly have never seen before, never thought of before, but I'm going to show you. And everybody who's ever seen it before, thought of it before, can comment on that fact. But in the meantime, we're going to go over here and we're going to shake the pistons. Watch. Can you see that? I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see it closer. Watch the action on this piston. Now, watch the action on the right-hand piston, which is the side we're having difficulty with, the side that is smoking. Let me just zoom in over here. I love working with a tripod. Notice there's no movement at all. This side is moving in, the rings are inside and the piston is moving inside the rings. This side, it's frozen solid, meaning that the rings on the piston are glommed up and probably got full of carbon or stuck oil, and the piston is not floating as it should float, like this side is. So I'll pull back and I'll show you both pistons at the same time so you can get a comparison. Left side. Right side. So the top end is going to come off. I'm going to take the cylinders off next, examine the pistons, and make a decision on what to do. I'm sorry, I forgot to turn the video on to show the lifting of the cylinders. You use a little piece of tubing between the valve lifters to keep them from falling down into the sump. So then you undo the 8 base bolts and lift it off. It's pretty straightforward. And let's take a look at these lifters. Well, the lifters look good. Nothing overtly wrong with them. Okay, that's cool. Now let's take a look at these pistons. Let's put it up in the air. And I think my good buddy has an opinion here. Hold on to those as they come up. And I'm not going to take a picture of Richard because he's very camera shy.
Right there.
Oh my. That's the oil ring.
Yep.
Oh, it's jammed solid.
Yep. It got really hot.
Yep.
Really
oh, look
hot.
at these scoring on these pistons.
Junk.
Wow. The oil ring is frozen. The piston is scarred to heck. Now, how can we have pistons this badly scarred and no overt damage inside the cylinders? Let's go take a look at them closer, okay?
So you have frozen rings.
Yeah. Well, that answers that question.
Frozen compression. Second compression ring is frozen.
Yep.
And so is your oil control. That's why it was low.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that. So yeah.
How about that?
I'm ready for your.
Are those gaps the same? Look, they put it together with the gaps lined up.
Well, it's what you get. You get schmutz.
Okay.
It got hot. It got really hot.
Okay.
And that's what's caused all of this.
Okay, so that's new pistons. Okay, come give me an opinion on the condition of this cylinder. I don't see any really bad damage here.
Somebody probably just replaced the jug. No, here it is.
You seeing damage?
Oh yeah.
Turn it around.
Right there.
Where are you seeing it?
Right here.
Oh, right there. Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's all aluminum being deposited on here.
Let's get it down in here. All right, so we have an overbore situation. New pistons, new rings, overbore. Sorry, but I'm glad you came over, Richard, because I've never done that wiggle piston test before, where you wiggle it inside the cylinder. That's quite an education there. As soon as you did that, you knew these were frozen. Wow. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to call this good right now and finish stripping the head and the rockers. Well, I apologize. I got carried away and pulled the pistons off without videotaping the process. You use this, you use this to drive out the wrist pin, and then just lift them right off the connecting rod. This is slightly modified. I put a socket on the end, and that makes it easier to use. So you just use that to push the wrist pin out. I did heat them up. Yes, I did. I heated them up. They came out very nicely. No stress, no bother. After being heated up with a heat gun, I then used the tool to remove them. I did not beat upon them at all. They just came apart very nicely. Now this is the front of the engine. That would make this the right-hand cylinder. That would make this the piston with the jammed up rings. And you can see right here how jammed up that ring is. It's not moving at all. I can't even break it free. This side, they're still movable. But this one's been running hot too, hot also. You can see the scuffing on the front of the piston. So, both sides of the piston, my goodness. So at this point in time, I still have to strip the rockers. I'll do that and then call it a day. At this point, we say overbore, new pistons, new rings, 4 new valves, 4 new valve guides, because we've agreed that these are way too loose. It's, what's the old saying, a billion here, a billion there, sooner or later you're talking about real money. This is going to be expensive. So I have to do a nice status report and explain all this. All right, I'm going to press the rocker shaft out of this rocker assembly. I'm going to heat it up, and then I'm going to press it out. So it's just sitting there ready to go. This is the a nice, I think it's 5/8 socket, maybe a little larger, and the shaft will go right down into it. But first I'm going to take yonder heating gun, which is over here, and warm it up. I'll do this for a minute or so and come back and show you the process. All right, that's nice and warm to the touch. Let's see how this goes. And there it goes, very gently. And once I get down flush, I can then take it off and take it over and tap it out with a brass rod over on the bench. And if I lift that up right now, it'll fall, so I'm going to stop this for a moment. Okay, progress. The rocker boxes are stripped, and I'll mark the parts that go back into which box, put them in separate bags, and then take these boxes to the vapor blast cleaner when I take the head to the vapor blast cleaner. In the meantime, back at the ranch, the pistons on this guy are are standards. So it's never been overboard. So we'll buy overboard. I used to go 10 over, but it seems like people aren't really selling 10 over pistons anymore. The first stop seems to be 20. I'll see what I can find. And get new pistons and rings, and then have this board. Now in the meantime, I'm taking the lifters out of here. Let me show you what I do. You're gonna have to look closely. Okay, can you see? I used my center punch, this guy, to put 1 punch right here, 2 punches right here, 1 punch right here, identifying it, 2 punches right here. When I flip this over, I will mark one with 3 punches, and I'll leave the other one, I'll mark that one with 4 punches because I do want to make sure that they go in facing the right way. They have to go in the right hole, facing the right way, so that they match the cams that they correspond to. Okay, so 1 punch, 1 punch, 2 punches, 2 punches. I can now safely pull these out and put them aside. Now I'm going to flip it over and do 3 and 4. All right, I've marked the other side. There's 3 on the right one and 4 on the left. And up above is corresponding 4 and corresponding 3. So I can now take these out safely and put them aside. Okay, everything will go back together facing the right way. At this point in time, this guy is ready to go to the machinist when I get all the parts in. And these are trash. These get put aside. The head goes to the vapor blaster and then to the machinist. Rocker boxes go to the vapor blaster and then to the machinist. So at this point in time, we are at a big stop. So I'm going to go put together a price list for all these parts and hope that my client doesn't have a heart attack. And sometimes, well, while I'm here, I think I'll pull these studs out. I'll show you how. All right, I'm going to pull these base studs out because it's a whole lot easier to clean the base, case base, cylinder base, nice and clean without these studs in the way. And yeah, back in the olden days, I used to double nut these things and take them out with the double nut method. Double your pleasure, double your fun. Double nut, double nut, double nut gum, or something like that. But now, since I have the fancy dancy stud removers, life is just so much easier. And having the right tool encourages me to do it the right way. It's just easy. Now I can clean this base gasket face really easy. And I can clean the studs too. Wire wheel them, have nice clean threads when I put it back together. And life is a whole lot simpler. Just a razor blade. To my way of thinking, every little burr, every little half hitch you feel here, every little bump is a potential place for oil to leak. I will take these locating pins out also. It's ugly, you have to grab them with a pair of pliers and take them out, and somebody will complain about the way I do it, so I'll do it off camera. And what I do to keep this stuff from going down in the sump, in case you're interested, first of all, I got the rag here, sealing it off. And second, I wipe it off. And third, I come back with a clean cloth and wipe it off. And fourth, what I do now, I saturate these rags with WD-40 so that whatever's laying on the rag will sort of be captive by the oily rag when I take it out. So theoretically, anything that I might have knocked down onto the rag should theoretically come out with the rag or with the cloth. because it's not dry. So. And you can see where, I don't know if you can see, but there's excessive gasket material up against the face here from the last time this was taken apart. And no, I don't really care about these things bouncing back and forth. I personally have never seen a connecting rod fail because it was bounced back and forth. But they say, you shouldn't let that happen. That's what they say. And you know that they say are omnipotent, and they know everything in the world, so you always have to listen to they say. And frankly, if you say it's in the manual, yeah, well, the manual was written by they say also. Remember, the biggest reason for the manuals is to have a convenient place to put all the warnings. Caution! Do not use ladder to go up high. Caution! Do not fall off a ladder. Caution! Do not let your connecting rods bounce around. Caution! Written by lawyers. I have a deep place in my heart for lawyers. And my son is one. Love him, but he went to the dark side. So I'm just going to try to get all this excess gasket material off of here. So. And I hear the sound of an RV pulling into my driveway. Let's go see. Hark! It is my lady friend arriving. That's her RV. I'll show you my RV later on. That's a nice rig. That's a Mercedes-Benz based Unity. And here comes Susu. Hello there. Say hi to the world.
Hello, world.
Okay, so I'm going to call this a day because I got nothing else to do besides before I go in there and order all these parts. I have to price them and order them. So we're at a stopping point. I'm going to put a cover over this and call it a day. All right, we'll call it end of day at, well, we'll call it 1:30 because I've been in the house fooling around while parking her RV. So we'll call it 1:30.